That the wheel looks very Suzuki-ish, because this is the kind of wheel I've seen on most Suzuki cars. Like, heated steering wheel. What did you do that was so bad that you deserve to be isolated from everyone? Huh? Am I really in a crossover SUV, or is this a minivan? There's so much space back here. Hello, everyone. In today's generation, environmental initiatives has become one of the topmost priorities. Every brand has taken their own form of initiatives. Some have resorted to developing their own hybrid technology, their own electric cars, and some of them have resorted to having a car rebadged from another brand in order to comply with the environmental initiatives that are of high demand in today's generation in the EU market. The development of hybrid technology, plug-in hybrid, or even electric cars is not a very simple project, because this requires high production costs. It's very expensive for a company to develop one brand new model. So therefore, Suzuki has to devise a new plan. Over here next to me, everyone, is the Suzuki Across. Now, the Suzuki Across is basically a rebadged Toyota RAV4, as you all know by now. But before I get down to reviewing the Suzuki Across, I'm going to tell you all something very important which you need to know. A primary reason why Suzuki has taken this step of rebadging cars is because Suzuki has never been a brand that is very influential when it comes to the topic of technology and innovation. In fact, Suzuki from the very beginning has always had a steady reputation for building mass market cars, and mass market cars only. So it's mainly to do with cheap cars that are good value for money, or if not good value for money, they were just super cheap to afford, super cheap to live with, super cheap to tax, super cheap to insure. This Suzuki A-Cross costs 55,000 euros. Is this good value for money or not? We're going to find out in a moment, everyone. Now, the most important thing to note about the Suzuki Across is that this is the first time I've ever seen a Suzuki exceed more than 35,000 euros. Now, I've never seen this before, guys. I've never seen this before. Like, usually, the maximum I've ever seen a Suzuki cost is exactly 35,000 euros, or basically 30,000 euros. But this Suzuki Across costs 55,000 euros. This is, in my view, this would be record-breaking, because I've never seen this before, especially let alone from Suzuki. However, on the positive side, I'm very optimistic to tell you all that this is just the rebirth of Suzuki crossover SUVs. The previous crossover SUV they had that was large was the Suzuki Grand Vitara. Now, it discontinued in the EU market because it did not meet EU market expectations. It did not sell like hotcakes. It just didn't have enough sale, basically. That was the big picture. Now, I'm very optimistic this will all change thanks to the Suzuki Across. This is just a start. However, hopefully Suzuki might develop its own crossover SUV from scratch. And I forgot to mention to you all that this Suzuki Across is a plug-in hybrid, not a hybrid, everyone, a plug-in hybrid. So, nope, no recharge with the brakes, everyone. All plug-in recharge, everyone. Oh, well, at least you get the Toyota technology, don't you? Over here, you get a plug-in hybrid petrol engine, everyone. A 2.5 plug-in hybrid engine. A 2.5 liter with a hybrid petrol. Okay, this has to be one of the rarest occasions I've seen this, but I've noticed this also with the Toyota RAV4, and I've also noticed this politic amongst Toyota. Toyota has one questionable aspect, and that is they have a tendency of giving massive engines with their hybrid technology, and there's just something that just counters each other, if you know what I mean, because the philosophy behind the hybrid technology is to achieve maximum fuel economy, to achieve the best fuel economy, but then the massive engine kind of it goes against what the hybrid technology stands for. And over here I'm seeing a bit of a clash between the massive engine of 2.5 and the hybrid technology, which is supposed to be what makes it economical. When you think of a 2.5 liter engine, you think of this is the kind of engine you'd see in a utility vehicle, like a big van or something. But for a crossover SUV of this size and this segment, why exactly does Toyota give this engine? Some things that isn't exactly clear. I'm not very sure why Toyota does this, but it would make sense if this was the North American market. In the North American market, there's demand for massive engines, not just for the looks, but because of the needs. Whereas here in the EU market, there's steady demand for economic values, and this also means it should be cheap to tax and cheap to live with. So now I'm going to cover the exterior design of the Suzuki A-Cross, everyone. I'm going to talk to you all about the primary difference between the A-Cross and the Toyota RAV4. The first difference I see so far is at the front right here. So over here you have the Suzuki badge, and then you have the headlights as well. The whole front looks nothing like the Toyota RAV4, although this sort of shape does remind me of something I've seen on the RAV4. And as for the rest of the grille, you be the judge, everyone. Another prominent difference I've seen from the Toyota RAV4 is that the wheel looks very Suzuki-ish, because this is the kind of wheel I've seen on most Suzuki cars, ranging from the Swift to the S-Cross and the likes. And whatnot, and yes, it's actually quite nice. I really like it. This sort of style of alloy wheel goes very well, and I really like the theme going on. The body color looks very nice. Like, look at the body color; it looks good. It looks like silver beige or something. It's quite nice. And then I like how you get this black trim right over the wheels instead of hard plastic. It's quite nice. Now the rear shares prominent similarities with the RAV4, especially the rear lights. The only difference I see is perhaps this bit of silver trim right here. I think the silver trim is added by Suzuki, and then also you have the Suzuki badge right here. And then as for the rest of the rear, it's just exactly alike. And you get a reminder that this is a plug-in hybrid and this is an A-Cross. One thing I have to admire about the rear design is that I like how the rear is just completely vertical. So it's actually quite accurate, especially for parking. This should be very good. You do get rear parking cameras and parking sensors down there. Very good. Oh, look everyone, you do get blind spot monitoring. Whilst exploring the exterior of this Suzuki A-Cross, I have to confess I was actually okay. I was actually impressed with the exterior design. It looks nice, it looks good. But then you see the big picture is that in terms of identity, there's no identity whatsoever when it comes to the exterior design. It doesn't scream Suzuki to me. The first questionable aspect I would like to remark is that you get a proud grille right here. But then even on the proud grille, you get some hard plastic that has no purpose, just right next to the parking sensors. Yeah, I don't know why this is there. But then also you have what looks like a grille over here. But then this grille over here has no air intake either. There's only little holes right here for the air intake, but then that's it. And then you get what looks like a Suzuki badge, but then this has to be the first time I've ever seen a Suzuki badge this flat. I mean, it looks as though it's just been tacked on there. Now, at least over here, I feel like Suzuki could have invested in a bit more detail, especially for the front right here, because at this point, with this sort of plastic, it does kind of look as though it has been tacked. Another questionable aspect is that, well, the positive aspect I see over here is that you get extra lighting over here, you get the sensor over here, but then you get what looks like it's supposed to be part of the grille, but it has no purpose whatsoever. Yeah, and I've noticed this practice commonly amongst many other manufacturers, so whether it's questionable or not, you be the judge, everyone, but to me this is a sign of production cost cutting, which is good because they saved money. For a price of 55,000 euros, you do not get a 360-degree parking camera. This has to be the first time I've ever seen this on a car of 55,000 euros. This is very, very, let alone a Suzuki, let alone a mass market car. Every mass market car with a price of 55,000 euros has a 360-degree parking camera, normally standard. But in the case of this Suzuki A-Cross, this is not the case at all. I don't see any camera at the front, so this leads me to directly conclude that there's no parking camera at the front. So it's only the rear parking camera, guys. No 360-degree parking camera. I'm trying my hardest to understand where does the 55,000 euros really go. Now there's something very interesting I'd like to point out. First of all, this has a keyless entry implied by this little marking right here, which is very good. But then there's something interesting I'd like to point out, and that is Toyota has a tendency of making door handles like this. So basically when you pull the door handle open, the whole thing is pulled, you know, like this. I just wonder why isn't it split right here, because it makes it more premium when they do this. Before going in the interior of the Suzuki A-Cross, I already noticed something very questionable, and that is each time I open the door, I'm greeted with bells and sounds and everything, like alarm noises, guys. Like, Just check this out. Every time I open any door, I always hear some noises. I remember last year I reviewed the Toyota Mirai, and it was every time I had to open a door, I could just hear countless amounts of alarms. It was just constantly alarms for everything I touched or anything I did every time I opened the door. Now, I don't know why Toyota does this, but yes, I mean, it's only Toyota I've noticed that has this, but otherwise they have the reliability, that's for sure. Over here is the interior of the Suzuki Across, everyone, and I have to confess, yeah, looks quite good. It looks very much like the Toyota RAV4. Nothing very different, nothing very Suzuki-ish aside from this steering wheel. The steering wheel looks very Suzuki-ish, I can give you that, like, that's already certain. This reminds me of Suzuki stylings I've seen before, but then for the rest of the interior, very Toyota-ish. Like, this is totally something Toyota would do. Like, look at this. And then also this whole thing, and this is prominently Toyota. By the way, I don't know why Toyota and Suzuki allowed this big prominent bit of rubber for the climate adjustments. Like, this whole area over here is climate adjustment, by the way, and you do get heated front seats, everyone. Very good. But why put too much rubber on the thing? I mean, I guess it's good for grip, but then when it comes to aesthetics, it's a little too prominent. And then over here you have your infotainment system, everyone. Now this looks very nice. The position of the infotainment system is excellent because that way there's reduced distraction whilst driving. So you're the driver and you can look at the infotainment easily. And this is better than placing the infotainment down here, like some manufacturers have done. This is good. And then over here you get this transmission. Now this design over here is exactly like the Toyota RAV4. Oh, and you do get some controls right here. You get your cup holders, everyone. Quite nice. And then over here you get some storage space. You get a 12-volt socket over there. You get some USB charge over there. And you get central console storage, which is rather adjustable. So you have the shallow part, and then you have the deep part in there. And you get another 12-volt socket in there. Wow, that's actually good. 2 12-volt sockets in this interior. Now that's at least good. I like that. You get a minor shallow storage space right here, everyone. And if that's not enough, you do get a storage space right here. It's good as it has to be, quite average for a crossover SUV of this size. If you want more space, you can always get rid of this manual, but otherwise, yeah, it's as good as it has to be. You get extra storage space right here, and you... Oh, okay, and that's about it, basically. What I really admire about Toyota is that they always put the hood latch right here and the fuel cap latch right here. This is very good. And I'm also impressed because Suzuki does the similar thing. Like, Suzuki also does this. I think most Japanese brands have one of the best solutions when it comes to hood latches and fuel caps. They always put them in this area. Whereas some brands, they put them right next to your feet. And that's really, really not a good idea. All right, everyone. Over here you get some extra lighting controls, and you do get the little storage space right here for your glasses. Very nice. And then you get some sun visors right here with your mirrors and your lighting up here. Very nice. No sunroof whatsoever, guys. Oh yes, everyone, you get electric seating adjustments with lumbar support. Alright, everyone, whilst exploring the interior of the Suzuki Across, I have to confess I was impressed with the design and the styling. Although it is Toyota-ish, I can understand Suzuki made some tweaks, especially with the steering wheel. But then I noticed a number of questionable aspects in this interior, and that is, first of all, there's some things that is a bit... Toyota has a habit of mishmashing controls. Like, they just put controls at really, really random spots. Okay, like for example, the heated seats are right here. But then for some reason, over here I get heated steering wheel. Why is the heated steering wheel button isolated from the climate controls? Like, heated steering wheel, what did you do that was so bad that you deserve to be isolated from everyone? Huh? What did you do? Huh? Tell everyone, what did you do? But then, right over here, you get traction control. Like, why would you put traction control at a very conspicuous spot where someone can press it by accident, especially when it's right next to the heated seats? Like, when you're in the dark, you're facing ahead, but you'll not always be paying attention to what you're touching right here, because both buttons have something similar. They both have a similar touch. So ideally, the traction control button should go isolated right here somewhere, you know, like maybe here or perhaps down here. But what Toyota and Suzuki have done is they allowed it to be prominent, conspicuous right here. I really am trying my hardest to understand what's going on right here, guys. The positive aspect about this area is that you do get mirror controls and you do get window controls. Okay, that's positive. But what's questionable is that... oh, and by the way, you get your central lock button right here. That's positive. But what I found questionable is, first of all, the quality of this door handle. The hard plastic is right here. And there's this rubbery feel right here, guys. The same quality I saw right here on the knob of the climate controls. The rubbery feel right here, and then for some reason over here I'm greeted with wonderful leather that's so squidgy. I love it. It's just so comfortable. But then for some reason right here it's just basic leather. Yeah, okay, it's comfortable, but then why is there no leather on this handle right here, guys? I mean, there's just hard plastic here, rubber here, hard plastic over here, and there's no details added to the window buttons. I mean, it just looks as if it was just built for the sake of it. I guess reliability does matter to Toyota. That's good enough, but then a bit of beauty, a bit of style, a bit of passion would have been more interesting. And then also, for a price of 55,000 euros, for some reason you don't get ventilated seats. Whereas most competitors or crossover SUVs of this segment, they offer ventilated seats, especially for a price of 55,000 euros. Even the Kia Sorento and the Hyundai Santa Fe. So I just wonder what makes the Suzuki Across the exception over here. Why don't they do this as well? And one last questionable aspect I would like to point out is that over here you get this proud bit of trim, okay? It's nice squidgy leather, it's good. Okay, that's fair enough. But what I found questionable is that whilst the storage space over here is shallow and the storage space in the glove box is rather shallow as well, why isn't this used as a storage space? I mean, this is just a prominent bit of trim that has no purpose. Now, this is average. Maybe it's not so questionable. You be the judge, guys, because to me, in my view, I feel like this area has potentials. There could have been something interesting done with this area, but no. For a price of 55,000 euros, you get this bit of trim over here that has no purpose at all. So it's as if for 55,000 euros, this wasn't enough, guys. You don't deserve to have an option here still. I wonder what that extra option would have been. See, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, what is this extra space for? That's another questionable aspect, I wonder. For a crossover SUV of 55,000 euros, and then this segment, this has to be a quite small door bin. Over to the rear seat, everyone. Oh, wow, everyone. This is the rear seat of the Suzuki Across. So, first of all, I have a lot of legroom, and I have lots of knee room, guys. I mean, my knee is literally 1 kilometer away from the driver's seat. I mean, wow, this is amazing. Look at this. So much space. Guys, am I really in a crossover SUV, or is this a minivan? There's so much space back here. Wow. Right, guys, you will not believe this. My headroom is literally 1 kilometer. Can somebody please enlighten me? What exactly am I experiencing at the back? Is this really a crossover SUV, or is this a minivan? Because I had this similar experience in the Honda CR-V. I mean, is it just me, or do Japanese crossover SUVs understand the concept of space at the back? Because they really do. And I think, I mean, you know, since this is a Toyota RAV4, also known as Suzuki Across, they have like a lot of space in the back seat. And what's even more generous is that you do get heated rear seats, everyone. Over here, you get air vents for the rear seat, guys, without any climate control, climate adjustments. For a price of 55,000 euros, I feel like there's not much going on over here. Like, there could have been some storage space, or there could have been some climate adjustments, but there's nothing much going on. It's just small air vents and sockets, USB points down there, and that's it. On both seats, guys, you get rear seat pockets, so that's actually a plus. You get a handle over here, you get a coat hook over here, and you get a beacon of hope lighting right up there. For a crossover SUV of this size and segment, the door bin at the rear is on the small side, guys. Yes, I find that a little bit questionable. Over to the rear of the Suzuki Across. So, you open the button, and then you hear this motor. So over here you get a 12 volt socket, and you do get a 150 volt socket. Wow. Toyota has some like really surprising things going on. Like sometimes they have something missing, and then sometimes they have something surprising that's there, which is unexpected, but still good. You get a beacon of hope lighting over here. Very nice. And the space at the rear is quite average for a crossover SUV with plug-in hybrid technology. So I'm not really going to question it so much. And then to close the rear door, you just push this button. And then as you push that button, you'll hear this alarm yet again. And this motor sound again. Job done. So here's my conclusion of the Suzuki Across, everyone. I have to say, first of all, the Suzuki Across is a promising debut because this is proof that Suzuki has acknowledged that it needs to compete in the crossover SUV segment, in the bigger crossover SUV segment. Suzuki has other crossover SUVs like the S-Cross, but for bigger crossover SUVs, it seems like they didn't really have much of a chance right there. They needed Toyota's help. And so here it is, everyone. Toyota helped Suzuki. But how much of help has Toyota really been for Suzuki? Alright, everyone. Now the very big question I'm about to ask. For a price of 55,000 euros, is this Suzuki S-Cross good value for money or not? Okay. This is going to be a very, very big thinking, guys, because I have positive views and I have, yes, questionable views. What I have to say is that, first of all, this is okay value for money. It's not going to be the best, but it's not the worst, okay? What I have to, let me just tell you all something. The reason why I think this is okay value for money is because this is just a debut. This is just the start of something new. Suzuki has finally acknowledged they need a large crossover SUV with modern technology like the plug-in hybrid system. But then it comes at a cost. A Suzuki of 55,000 euros, which has not much equipment in the interior. Like, for example, even the practicality solutions were very limited. For the door bins were one of the smallest I've ever seen for a crossover SUV of this size, segment, and price. And also the storage solutions in the interior, the layout of the interior, the e-logic locations of certain things. You see, there's something, yes. Yeah, that's all I can say, guys. I mean, and then also the absence of 360-degree parking cameras. Okay. All I can say is that it is questionable, but then at the end of the day, in long terms, I think this is a promising project by Suzuki because I'm sure the next generation is going to be developed by Suzuki alone, or if it is going to be developed in collaboration with Suzuki and Toyota, at least they will realize that they need to be good value for money. And they also need to maintain the reliability and a bit more identity as well. So you want my opinion of the Suzuki Across? Oh, I love it! I love the Suzuki Across. You know, guys, it's true there were some things that may be perceived as not good value for money, or there's some things that may be perceived as, oh no, this is no different to a Toyota RAV4. But you know what, guys? The big picture I'm looking at is Suzuki's future. This is just the birth of something different, everyone. This is just the start of something big and something completely different. Now, I really am optimistic that in the future Suzuki is going to come up with their own hybrid technology, their own car, which is developed from scratch, or they might continue collaboration with Toyota. But this collaboration might go to a new level where they will actually develop a proper car which everyone will find desirable. And it all starts from this nice Suzuki Across. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for more videos that are on the run. Now, if you'll excuse me, I am going on a road trip with the Suzuki Across. Bye!